There's been an established group of top-tier wide receivers in the NFL for a few years now, but players like Jaxon Smith-Njigba are ushering in the new wave of superstar wideouts. The Seattle Seahawks star went off again on Sunday, catching 8 passes for 167 yards and a pair of touchdowns in the 30-24 win over the Titans. That win moved the Seahawks to 8-3 to keep them in the thick of the NFC playoff race, but that wouldn't be possible without an all-time season from JSN. Through 12 weeks, Smith-Njigba currently leads the league with 1,313 receiving yards to go along with 80 receptions and 7 touchdowns. He's already set career-high marks for yards and touchdowns and is pacing to shatter his previous career high of 100 catches. That yards mark is also a franchise record, surpassing DK Metcalf's 2020 season, and JSN still has 6 games left to play. It's not just that JSN is putting up big numbers, but it's the historic efficiency with which he's doing it. As it currently stands, Smith-Njigba is averaging 4.42 yards per route run this season. For context, the highest recorded yards per route run in the history of PFF's database is Tyreek Hill in 2023, and he set it at 3.72. That record-breaking efficiency is a surprise to anyone, including myself, but if you talk to anyone who was in the Ohio State building at the time Smith-Njigba was there, they would be adamant that he was the best wide receiver to ever come through that school. Even before his sophomore season with the Buckeyes, JSN was drawing rave reviews from his teammates as the best wide receiver they've ever seen. These weren't scrub upperclassmen either. This is what Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave had to say about Jaxon Smith-Njigba.
You made a comment, I think, that was like, this guy's gonna be the best of all time, like one of the best ever.
I stand on that, yeah.
You stand on that.
Yeah.
What was it that you saw from him? What was it that made you say?
It's one of those things where you see people catching balls and it just looks natural coming into their hands. You know, they don't, when they drop one, like, it doesn't happen. That's how it is with Jaxon. He's super natural.
Who's the best athlete of the 3?
I would say me.
Yeah, that's
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love it. And he's so quiet.
I would say me.
That's Jaxon.
JSN was a 5-star recruit coming out of college, but playing in a crowded receiver room combined with a COVID-shortened freshman season limited his impact at the college level before going pro. Now JSN is showing what he's capable of when he's firing on all cylinders. His inside-out versatility combined with his production, his deep speed, his separation ability, his ability to play bigger than his frame suggests at times. All of this is why he reminds me so much of a childhood favorite of mine in Marvin Harrison Sr. Like JSN, Harrison was a late first-round pick in 1996 and quickly ramped up to become one of the most productive receivers in NFL history. His accolades over his 13-year career included 8 All-Pro selections and 8 Pro Bowls while leading the NFL in catches and receiving yards multiple times, along with helping bring Indianapolis its first and only Super Bowl title. Despite being on the smaller end of outside receivers, Harrison won with speed, crisp route running, reliable hands, and a near superhuman chemistry with Peyton Manning, as their 114 combined touchdowns are the most in NFL history between a quarterback and receiver. While JSN may never have that quarterback to have that chemistry with like Harrison did, he is quickly approaching Harrison in terms of being one of these top-tier receivers with all-time production. So let's break down the film from Jaxon Smith-Njigba in the win over Tennessee on Sunday to give you a better feel of just how dominant and how high of a level he is playing at right now in today's Shades of edition of Best Available. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube and follow us on socials at BestAvailableYT. And if you really enjoy or in the giving spirit, consider becoming a member to support the channel. I'll leave details to that in the episode description. It's Thanksgiving week. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. So why don't we go ahead and dive into the tape on Jaxon Smith-Njigba. It's clear the Seahawks realize the type of receiver they have on their hands because they are still finding ways to get him the ball as much as possible, which makes that efficiency even more incredible. Now, usually when you see such a high yards per route run, you're being very strategic of when you're getting a guy a ball, but like it's the efficiency and production. Like they just really trust JSN to get the ball as much as possible. So we've got this condensed formation. Everyone's really close to the offensive line. We're going to pay attention to JSN here, and we're just going to run this little end around. Very interesting way they run this. So we're not even doing pre-snap motion. We're just running it initially. We're going to have what looks initially like a fake split zone. We even, fake split zone by the tight end to, give you some eye candy on this. Then it starts to look like counter because of this polar. This tight end, instead of coming across the formation, stops and then becomes a lead escort blocker on the end around. We've got some nice seal down right here, and then we've got a block, I believe, Cooper Kupp here on the edge. So really interesting concept to get guys out in space, and then JSN reads it. It is a successful play. It's about 6 yards. We will take that every day. Sorry, I believe it was 4 yards. Still a successful play, but we'll take that. I just thought it was a really interesting concept to start with. First touch of the game for JSN. It's a really interesting one to get him the ball in space. And just, if you pay attention now, just looking at the top of the screen, some really interesting ways they're blocking, whether it's the tight end, faking going across the formation and stopping, this seal block by this tackle, and then just trying to hold this here. And then, getting, blockers in space to try and create a seal. Biggest play of the day for JSN here. We have him coming in motion across the formation. And it's something I was really surprised with watching the tape this year. His deep play speed is a lot better than I remember, whether it was at Ohio State. I remember he didn't test that great in the 40-yard dash. He's really picked up the speed in his game, which makes him even more dangerous. So we got him right here, motioning out, and then he's just going to take this, all the way up the seam. The rest of the route combinations, we have this in-breaking route on the other side of the field. We have a single high safety look. This safety just gets caught looking at that in-breaking route, trying to break down on it. And by that time, he's just caught flat-footed. We're able to get, behind JSN. And I want you to pay attention to this. Let me make sure I can get this moved ever so slightly. Little bit of a push-off by JSN. We're going to admit that. Right here. He's just ever so slightly just getting his arm extended without pushing. And when you're running at that full speed, just that little bit of contact can really mess up your run, like your gait and your stride. Doing that without making it look obvious, because in theory, I think, yes, that's kind of an OPI. But you're taught as a receiver, like, as long as you're doing it subtly, you're going to create that separation. If we had the broadcast, huge play, you shouldn't expect anything less from JSN at this point in the year, because he's just making plays at all 3 levels of the field. Really fun one here. One of the better release packages in the league right now. Just everything that JSN is doing is near the top of the league, especially when it comes to being a precise route runner. And here he's got press alignment from the corner, right? So it's going to make this release a little tougher. If he doesn't get a good release, he can get jammed. His route can be disrupted, depending on what he's trying to run. And what he does a great job of here, he's going to release outside to set up a slant. And he's waiting for this corner to commit and lose his landmark to create that separation on the slant. So as we run this, we're going to have the motion. So you can see his initial step, he is taking a big jab step outside. He is setting that up. You can now see we are having the corner pedal laterally going this way. And the second that he starts to commit that way, JSN just throws him by, uses the hands a little bit to maximize separation, just creates enough of a seal on that slant to create a successful play. But it's these little plays, like, especially against press, it can be really hard for some receivers to get off of press alignment and get jammed, get disrupted. But Jason's just such a nuanced route runner who has such a good understanding of leverage and how to get a guy off of his spot. I mean, again, just pay attention to the corner here. Look at how uncomfortable he gets on this outside release, how he panics and reacts. He even takes that shuffle step outside. And the second he takes that shuffle step, Jason's able to get back inside, work and get, a first down on a big play. What I really appreciate from JSN for a sub 200-pound receiver, this man is not afraid of contact. So we got off coverage this time. We're just going to run a little in-breaking route. And in order to create as much separation as possible, he's not going to slow down as he gets close to this corner. He's going to kind of embrace that contact to the corner once. So he's getting there. And then he's just pushing off a little again, not a ton, but doing enough to, catch the corner flat-footed, get him on his heels, and create that separation on the route. But that's not even the most impressive part of this play. This should be a dead play. Maybe he's going upfield for a couple yards, but it's his elusiveness after the catch to force that angle to be broken. He does a good job of using the offhand, but does enough to get to that first down by just working angles on the defense. This should be an easy corral right here. I mean, defenses are taught that this is a winning position. We've got outside leverage here, inside leverage here, and we've got 2 teammates, crashing down. This should be dead to rights, but, JSN just has some different agility to him. So even as a route runner, but even after the catch, to have an elusiveness. And I love, even if it's not the most effective, I love that stiff arm, just trying to get whatever you can get. I'm about to show you an incompletion, and it'll make sense here coming up in a little bit. But this is a nice attempt at a throw here. We've got what looks like quarters coverage based on the cornerback's hips. These assignments, when I say quarters, all 4 of these guys have a quarter deep responsibility. So I've got, numbers to hash, hash to hash, hash numbers out, something like that. But, quarters of the field, right? So this is that shell that we're getting here. And JSN's finding a way to beat it in the back of the end zone. He is trying to push the leverage of this outside corner out and then, work his way back in. It's not like a sharp cut. He's just trying to work that leverage to create enough of a gap right here to create a throwing window. The safety just drifting, to middle of the field helps with this as well. His eyes are so locked in on where Sam Darnold is looking at, so he's just kind of drifting with that. You can see with the steps that, JSN's still pushing outside. Then he's breaking back in on that. So look, his eyes, his manipulation here. So watch, he's going to start drifting outside on this. And then he's turning his head. And then you can see that's a tight throwing window, right? That is not an easy one. But it's a great effort by JSN. Getting pushed out. Almost gets the feet in bounds. It ends up being an incomplete pass. But I wanted to show this because of that understanding of attacking leverage to create enough of a seal against quarters. And you'll notice, I guarantee you the offensive coordinator saw this look against quarters, saw how the safety reacted when Darnold looked away and said, we're going to come back to this. I don't know if any receiver in the league does better eye and shoulder manipulation on their routes than JSN. So we got him right here. I want you to pay attention to what he's doing. We've got a single high safety right here, and we're going to try and get him to, take this play off. We've got crossers, right? We got this guy coming across the formation, and Jason's eventually going to cross as well. But the way he's pushing, look at where his eyes are going. He's pushing vertically. Then he's looking this way, right? So the safety is like, oh, he's looking this way. The eyes of Darnold are going there. They were manipulating these safeties all day in the passing game. So with that look, we see JSN's eyes again. He's manipulating that. Breaks on it, turns and crosses the field on it. That is just an outstanding job. And then I'm trying to figure out if this is a blown coverage. I don't know if this is cover 1. If in theory this should be man-on-man then, but it feels like as he crosses, we're just kind of letting him drift off. And if he's drifting off, that's telling me maybe it's cover 3 with a single high safety where we've got deep third here. But then where's this deep third defender? So this might have been a blown coverage, which is another way that we're able to get so open for JSN. But it besides the blown coverage, it's just that eye manipulation on the safety, and Darnold does a great job of it too, but he is just so advanced. Just a couple plays ago, we had that almost touchdown by JSN in the red zone, right? He pushed that leverage outside. He went back inside to create that throwing window with the safety getting off platform. We are going back to that. This doesn't look like it's a quarters look. We've got a single high safety this time, but we get a great release from JSN here at the bottom of the screen. You're going to see this. He's going to jab out, get inside release. Then he's going to push it back outside to get this corner to widen with him. And you see the eyes again. Look where he's looking. He is looking outside. This safety's still staying home middle of the field. Then he just completely cooks that receiver, that corner. The leverage is all messed up. The eyes get the corner to bite, and he's stumbling as JSN gets wide open in the back of the end zone. I love when an offensive coordinator notices something and sees it and thinks, hey, this safety isn't going to get there on time on this window, regardless of the coverage. Maybe it is still quarters with, this safety bailing and this guy, but I don't think it is based on, the alignment of this safety. But they were picking on this poor guy all game. And that's just, I say this a lot. I'm not meaning this to be hyperbolic. I don't think anyone in the league is doing what JSN is doing right now. The best wide receivers in the league are attacking blind spots to, when to break on their route. So we're going to go here. We got JSN at the top of the screen. He's going to get a free release. Looks like the corner's kind of playing the flat. Watch when he decides to break here. He's just pushing vertically full speed on the safety. So, coaches at the wide receiver position are always encouraging their receivers, every route's a vertical route until it's not. And the reason being is you want those safeties and corners to be threatened by the vertical to make anything underneath way easier to separate on. So JSN is charging full speed on the safety. The second that safety flips his hips and it's like, oh, we're playing vertical now, Jason cuts, breaks inside, leaves that corner or that safety to dust. The ball does not end up going his way, but this is just such a great example of, just how to attack a route, how to attack a blind spot. And I mean, if Darnold sees this in time on this break, this throwing window is in the NFL. I don't think it gets more open, especially on an explosive pass play that's going for, 20 plus yards. I don't have a lot to share on this one, but I have to show it. This is just Jaxon Smith-Njigba at the bottom of the screen. Nothing special with this route, just finding a soft spot in the zone. This is what I want to show you. That's stiff arm. I know he gets tackled, but again, this is not the biggest. He's not a big X. He's not an A.J. Brown or a D.K. Metcalf, but this kid is so unafraid of contact. And for being as elusive as he is, he can also throw a mean stiff arm. I just had to share it. Loved this play. I don't care that he didn't break the tackle. I love the want to on that. Last one, it's a real quick one. The ball does not go his way, but I wanted to show this from JSN. I just love his tempo on this route. Completely lull the secondary to sleep because we've got, inside release here, wheel out of the backfield. A lot of different things going on here. And JSN, slow plays this at first. I'll pause it for you. Slow plays it at first, right? Like he's not doing anything, and then just takes off down the seam. And I'm convinced if this ball's not already out, he's got to step on this DB. This safety who they've been picking on all game is, just way too far away from this fade ball. I think this goes for an explosive play if he shoots it, but it's just one of those things where Jason can tempo his routes as well. And you forget, especially me, like I still did not see this top end play speed when he was at Ohio State. And he's legitimately has that. So it was the last one I wanted to show as far as another just advanced nuance part of his game is that ability to feel how to tempo out routes to lull defenders to sleep. I feel like I just got a master's degree in route running by JSN in this film. I hope you did too. I really, truly believe this is some of the best route running we're seeing in the NFL. And you can see in the jerseys behind, I'm a Packers fan. I've watched Devontae Adams cook guys at his release. But besides the release for Jason, which is good, it's all of that nuanced stuff downfield, whether it's, eye manipulation, attacking blind spots, being unafraid of contact and maximizing that without drawing OPI calls. He does a little bit of everything. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving if you're watching this ahead of time, and enjoy the holiday weekend. This is one of the best times of year. I'll be back on Friday, probably with some kind of Thanksgiving games reaction. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Again, if you've made it this far, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you on Friday. Take care.